without law, we'd eat each other. You know, that human nature, this is, I think John Wayne said, you can't legislate it. He said, he turned from a very good progressive from Democrat to a Republican because he got pushed by we think. And he said, listen, you can't legislate human behavior. You put 30 people in a room, give them all $1. In a week, 2 guys are going to have all the money. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can kind of agree and disagree with this. So I don't think that societies can legislate how a human behaves. I think that human behavior is something that is very much controlled by the environment that the organism or the person is living in, as well as the community in which they live in. So there's a bunch of different factors that go into human behavior. But as far as legislating behavior, I feel like over a long period of time, as a society, we legislate certain behaviors as being favorable over others. I think eventually those unwanted behaviors are either weeded out or seriously contained, which is hopefully what we started to accomplish here in the United States, because, you know, we're constantly evolving our legislated laws, the laws in this country, and they're very complicated, but it's really meant to just promote favorable behaviors. That doesn't necessarily correlate to, you know, how human behavior is shaped, but I think that generally as a society, as behaviors become more normalized, those behaviors start being freely expressed, and the behaviors that are not wanted are either suppressed or contained. And so I think that there is a natural anthropological evolution, if you will, given a society. So while you can't legislate behavior necessarily, like you can't legislate it that a person feels a certain way, you can, over long periods of time, control the behavior, the majority behavior, the normalized behavior of a society. So I think that it's a too black and white of a position to take to say, oh, you can't legislate behavior. I feel like you have to have a bit of nuance there in that position.
People do this evolution of mankind, and I said, I've never been, church was never, I got kicked out of more churches because of stupid crap I'd say.
Yeah.
Like even the bishop said, we just don't want you around here anymore.
Yeah.
Well, ironically enough, that was one of the problems that KC had with her respective Catholic churches and everything like that. Like, she would ask too many questions of these people, and this is a common thing amongst a lot of atheists out there, is just asking too many difficult questions, and so they just don't want them around. And honestly, if your religion can't stand up to being questioned, maybe it shouldn't be believed, because it just makes it sound like you don't want people to question the things that you're saying. I want everybody to question what I'm saying. Even right now, I want you guys to sit there and consider it from yourselves and question things. And as long as you're considering your own position and you come to your own conclusion on things, I'm perfectly happy. I'm fine if people want to question me. Question what I say freely. But if your religion can't stand up to scrutiny, then maybe it shouldn't be believed.
I mean, literally.
Well, don't you find some of the times the problems with atheism is that really their problems are with churches, not with God?
Well,
I seriously disagree there, Norm. Because while I do have problems with churches and with church organizations, I have more of a problem with just the Bible itself and the beliefs of Christianity, the many various beliefs of Christianity. So it's not that I have a problem with churches or organized religion at all. I have a problem with the belief itself. You have the fundamentalists out there who want to take the Bible literally with, a 6-day creation and all this other stuff and a flood happening. And all of that's very unscientific. How the Bible lays out the beginning of our earth and the beginning of the universe is just not what we experience with our own physical measurements of the universe. So if it doesn't comport with reality, then I shouldn't believe it. And then you get further on into the Old Testament, and a lot of that stuff is very ahistorical, especially the main point of it recording the history of the Israelite people. That is not the history of the Israelite people. Sure, they get a few things right. Maybe they get some kings correct and all this other stuff. But the fact is that if the purpose is to record an accurate history of the Israelite history, then it is ahistorical because it does not record that. The Book of Numbers doesn't record the right numbers for the Israelite people as far as we can tell from archaeological evidence. And then you go on into the more of the prophetic things like Isaiah, you got Job, you've got Daniel, Zechariah. Like, all of those things are not historical accounts of anything, especially Job. It's not the church organization or things that the church does. It's the fact that this book does not comport with reality. That's the reason why we don't believe in that particular God. But on a grander scale of just a general God or a deistic type of God that's non-personal and all this other stuff, whether or not that one exists, I don't know. You could call me an agnostic on that particular God. But I don't believe one to exist because I have not seen any evidence to suggest that he does. So I would hope that if somebody tells you something fantastical, like there's some ambiguous deity that started the universe, if that person didn't have evidence, I would hope that you would question that person. Like, why do they believe this? Do you have any evidence to support your claims? And if they don't, then maybe you shouldn't believe them. But what I get from a lot of Christians out there and people that are critical of atheism is that you have this idea that some entity out there exists that either started the universe or created humans, maybe. I'm not sure. You have this idea of this entity. And when I ask for evidence and you say, I don't got evidence, I just have pure speculation about the fact that it's hard to understand how the universe could have created itself or popped into existence naturally. Like, I just don't understand that. So I don't have any direct evidence. I just have bullshit speculation. And you expect me to be like, oh yes, I'm slurping up that bullshit right now. I believe it without any evidence whatsoever. Just pure bullshit speculation is all I run off of. I'm not going to believe you if you don't have good reasons for your belief. That's just it. That has nothing to do with church organizations.